Hey everybody, today we're going to do a quick recap on the first Republican debate. I was really busy the past day, didn't have much time to watch it. Eventually, I did get around to watching it. I also watched the Donald Trump interview with Tucker Carlson, so this is probably going to be quick, and who really cares what I think? Some of you might want to know, so let's dive in. We've got an AP article from Ramaswamy, how he's raised $450,000 in first hours after a Republican debate, and all the news outlets have already done all their takeaways from the debates. I don't know how much unique commentary I can add. But Ramaswamy did make the biggest splash. I thought a lot of people, even Republican primary voters, were not really going to know who he is yet. Even if they knew who he was, they probably haven't seen the many interviews he's done. I've only watched a few of them myself, so I was interested to see what approach he's going to take. He's been said to have been rising in the polls the last month or so. He has. I think it's been overblown, but I think some primary voters might be looking for an alternative to Ron DeSantis, as DeSantis has declined over that same period of time. So I could scroll through this and say some of my thoughts. But Ramaswamy looked like he was out to make a statement. He tried to present himself as an outsider and new blood for a future conservative vision, but he ran into problems. He sparred with Mike Pence. He sparred with Chris Christie. And I think for the most part, Republican primary voters are going to find Ramaswamy to be appealing. He has energy. He doesn't really seem like he backs down. It seems like he'll go after anybody. That to me has some overlap with Donald Trump. And speaking of Trump, he was praised by Ramaswamy as the best president in the 21st century, but considering there were only two Republicans, I think that was low-hanging fruit that he did not pick George W. Bush. He talked about pardoning Trump. He's in favor of pulling back on the Ukraine aid. He mentioned some cultural issues, but mostly the debate was about other policy issues. Now, the other main star, Ron DeSantis, I think he had an all-right performance. It was kind of just par for the course. Nobody really went after him. He didn't seem to make any big moves. Maybe it was a little anticlimactic. I guess he did okay for what I was expecting. Chris Christie went after Trump. There's no doubt about that. So did Asa Hutchinson to a lesser extent. So we can go through all these candidates. Let's switch over to 538. They've got fresh data. There was a Washington Post Ipsos poll conducted right after the debate. They surveyed likely Republican primary voters. We've got pre and post debate favorables. Let's go down here and get more into this. Here's the share of Republican primary voters who watched the debate and said each candidate performed the best and worst in the debate. So according to this, Ron DeSantis, he won it with close to 30% that thought he had the best performance. About another 8% thought he had the worst performance. Ramaswamy just behind DeSantis on the best, but he also was a few points higher on the worst performance. So Ramaswamy kind of emerging as a little bit of a polarizing figure. It's probably high risk, high reward. We'll see if it turns into any actual momentum. Nikki Haley was in third. Not many people thought she had the worst performance. Mike Pence had a lot of speaking time, but I'm a little surprised he had very little appeal with these voters. Chris Christie had the worst performance. That's not super surprising given he went after Trump. Tim Scott, kind of a low-key guy. Seems like he did all right. Asa Hutchinson, he's kind of like Chris Christie. He went after Trump, but he doesn't have any energy or any other appeal behind him. And look at down there on the bottom, Doug Burgum. To me, he kind of just came off as a nice guy, fairly inconsequential, didn't rock the boat, but in this poll, looks like he had a pretty bad performance. So who gained and lost support? We've got the before and after arrows. This is the share that are considering voting for each candidate. DeSantis went from 63 to 67. Look who's in second. Donald Trump, he went from 66 down to 61. Nikki Haley had the biggest boost, 30 to 47. Ramaswamy went up 41 to 48. Tim Scott kind of flatlined, 41 to 43. Pence ticked up slightly. Christie ticked up slightly. And we just saw Doug Burgum with a low performance, yet he went from 5 to 12%. Asa Hutchinson stagnant, and Will Hurd and Francis Suarez, they weren't even at that debate, but both of them ticked down slightly. So everybody at the debate went up. Trump went down just a little bit, but how about the popularity of each candidate? So the yellowish line is unfavorable. The red line is favorable. No idea why they would do it like that. It should be red is unfavorable, green is favorable. Terrible decision on 538, but the top is before the debate. The bottom is after the debate. Doug Burgum, nobody's heard of this guy beforehand. After the fact, some people have heard of this guy, and he's got a split favorable slightly ahead. Chris Christie's favorables went up, and you could take a look at the rest of the candidates. And then down below we have which issues matter most. The top issue with 52% is getting inflation or increasing costs under control. Controlling immigration is second with 44. Third place with 29% is someone fighting against liberalism and the woke agenda. So that covers where primary voters are at post-debate. Then we have Donald Trump. He did an interview with Tucker Carlson. I did watch it. Trump was definitely more low-key in that interview. Maybe that's appealing. Maybe it's not. They did go into some controversial topics. They talked about indictments. And I don't know how much it's really going to matter. Of course, if you're a Democrat and you hate Trump, you can't stand the sight or the sound of this guy, and he deserves everything he has coming to him. him. And if you like Trump, you think it's a complete political witch hunt, Biden is getting away with everything, and they'll do anything they can to come after Trump. I don't know how many minds can really be changed at this point. To me, the election is pretty much going to come down to turnout, but that's going to be pending what the economic sentiment is at the time. So let's move it along to the market. And here's a look at predicted. Who's going to win the GOP nomination? Trump is at 61. Ramaswamy is in second at 17. Ron DeSantis at 14. So we got to take a look at the polling that comes out over the next week or two. It seems like Trump is still going to be in the lead. Maybe his lead goes down a little bit. I think it's still going to be massive. Ramaswamy and DeSantis probably going to compete for second place. But one more thing about Ramaswamy, I do think as he becomes more prominent, he is going to be subject to more attacks. I think they'll probably try to dig up things from his past. I think there's going to be smears. Usually in politics, most of them are in bad faith. Ramaswamy could be a flash in the pan. It's possible something comes out and it completely derails his momentum and he collapses. Or it's possible he does emerge as a future political contender. As for the rest, Ron DeSantis looks like he did not do that bad according to the results. I didn't think Nikki Haley really did all that well, but GOP primary voters think otherwise. Chris Christie doesn't appear to have done himself any favors. I don't see what the lane is for Mike Pence. And some of these people have got to start dropping out soon as the donations dry up. So you could go on and on about these individual candidates. I know they covered some important topics. They talked about abortion. They talked a little bit about climate. They talked about sex-segregated sports. There is some variety of views out there. The biggest thing I thought was on Ukraine, and that's going to be controversial. Maybe some of you think the right position is no, we have to spend everything over there. That's fine. It doesn't really matter what I think. My views are completely scattered on a variety of issues. I would like these candidates to talk more about healthcare, getting it to U.S. citizens. It's great to hear how the elite are the problem, but if there's also going to be no discussion about trying to go after some of the economic imbalance, I don't know how much appeal that's going to have beyond a Republican primary. So anyway, you could go on and on and on about this. I'm going to leave it there for now. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about the debate? Who do you think was the star? Who do you think is going to drop out first? How does this affect Trump? Who do you think would be best in the general election? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video.